I'm also the one who stands at the pinnacle of all races.
I'm saying I'm actually shocked you would ever have thought you could beat me with this loser shit.
Why do some overpowered characters become unforgettable while others just become boring? Being too strong is not automatically bad either. Some people act like overpowered characters should just be avoided, but I disagree with that. I think that if done right, they can be some of the most compelling characters in a story. The problem is just that writers usually try to balance the wrong things. Some common mistakes that I notice are people just try and focus on the power first, ignoring the actual character at its root. Just try and give them like a weirdly niche weakness. Sometimes they'll add stamina limits or make their abilities stop working altogether, or just introduce someone stronger. And I mean, those can work sometimes, but they're not the real secret. The secret isn't always making the power weaker. Sometimes it's making the person seem more human. When most people think of Gojo, they think of his power first. Infinity, limitless, hollow purple, just being the strongest. And that's not bad, that's literally the point of his role. But when people think of a character like Meruem from Hunter x Hunter, they usually think of his change, how his character develops over the course of his arc. And Kamugi, the final game and the monster becoming human, paralleling Gon's descent into madness. Gojo's first impression is power, but Meruem's lasting impression is transformation. Meruem should be boring on paper. He's born stronger than almost everyone. He's a leader of a clan of ants that's some of the strongest people in the verse. He learns ridiculously fast. He sees humans as beneath him. He walks into a world convinced he deserves to rule. And if that's all that he was, he would just be another strong villain. Hunter x Hunter does not make him interesting by weakening him. It changes the question. At first, the question is, can anyone stop him? But once Kamugi enters the story, the question becomes, can he understand another person's value before it's too late? Kamugi does not challenge him physically. She has no anti-Meruem ability. She cannot fight him. She just beats him at a simple game of Gungi. That sounds small, but it attacks his worldview. His worldview is strength equals value. Kamugi is fragile, blind, powerless by his standards, and still better than him in one place. She proves value can exist outside of power, which challenges his entire persona as a character. Kamugi doesn't expose a weakness in Meruem's ability. She exposes a weakness in Meruem's understanding of life. He starts by literally quoting humans as livestock. He ends by asking to spend his final moments with one. His power does not get nerfed, his humanity develops, and that's why he becomes a compelling character. Now, this part might step on some people's toes, and just to start, I love Gojo. His dynamic with Geto is one of my favorite parts of Jujutsu Kaisen. Hidden inventory works because it asks who Gojo is under the title of the strongest.
Possible to do something which is possible for you. Do you think you're the strongest because you're Satoru Gojo? Or are you Satoru Gojo because you're the strongest?
Are you Satoru Gojo because you're the strongest, or are you the strongest because you're Satoru Gojo? That is a great character question, but Gojo is different from Meruem. He's not going through some kind of transformation in the main story. He's older, his defining character wound already happened prior to the beginning of the story. His role is to be the pillar of the world, and the story knows this, which is why sealing him changes everything, and I think is a very compelling arc. The problem is not Gojo is bad because he does not change. The lesson is that an OP character cannot only be a solution. If they are a solution, the story has to show what that role costs them, either as a person, through relationships, or through a different lens of the world. Gojo works best when his story is not just asking what his power can fix, but what being the strongest has done to him. Power does not need weakness, people do. A character can be physically unbeatable and still emotionally lost. They can be societally isolated, they can be socially inept, they can be politically dangerous, they can be morally conflicted, they can win fights and lose relationships, purpose, identity, or peace. And that's where the real tension comes from. The better question is not always, can they win? Sometimes it's, what does winning do to them? This is something that I'm trying to replicate in my own story. I'm writing a character named Silas. If he becomes one of the world's strongest people, I don't want readers only asking, can anyone beat him? I want them asking, what does the power cost him? Who becomes afraid of him? Who wants to control him? Who stops seeing him as a hero? Or what does his power turn him into? That is the entire point of this channel, and that's what I mean by plot and power. Power should not just solve the plot, it should create it. Of course, there are some exceptions to this rule. Characters like Saitama are intentionally written as jokes about overpowered characters. He's not supposed to struggle physically, but even then, the strength is not the emotional core. The interesting part is boredom, recognition, finding his purpose, connection, and how weird the world around him is. His power solves every fight, but it can't solve his life. OP characters are not taboo, nor do I think they should be. I think that they can be incredible, and some of my favorite characters would be considered overpowered in their own verses. But strength cannot replace humanity. Don't only ask how to weaken a character, ask what their power turns them into. The strongest powers do not create great characters. Great characters give strong powers meaning. Who do you think is the best written overpowered character? And is it because of their power or because of what their power does to them? And this is my first video, so just let me know any comments on any part of it. All feedback is appreciated, and if y'all want anything specific, just comment down below any suggestions. Thanks.